The lecture hall was packed. I mean, absolutely crammed with students from 17 different species, all required to attend Professor Velkrin's infamous course on deadly flora of the outer colonies. Nobody actually wanted to be there, of course. But it was mandatory for anyone pursuing xenobiology, which meant we were all stuck listening to Velkrin drone on about spore patterns and alkaloid compounds like our lives depended on it, which, ironically, they kind of did. Now then, Velkrin announced, his 3 eye stalks swiveling toward the holographic display, we come to the crimson death cap native to Kepler 442b. Toxicity level, catastrophic. Consumption results in complete organ failure within 6 hours. There is no antidote. No treatment. No hope. He paused for dramatic effect, which was very Velkrin. If you eat this mushroom, you die. Simple as that. I was taking notes, or at least pretending to, when I noticed something strange. The human in the front row, a girl named Mara Quinn, was chewing something. Not unusual, really. Humans were always eating. They had this bizarre compulsion to stuff things into their face holes every few hours or they'd get what they called hangry, which apparently was a combination of hungry and angry, because of course humans would invent a word for being violent due to lack of snacks. But then Mara raised her hand. Velkrin's eye stalks contracted with annoyance. Yes, Miss Quinn? Quick question, she said, still chewing. When you say no antidote, do you mean like, officially no antidote, or just that nobody survived long enough to develop one? I mean, Velkrin said slowly, that the toxins are so potent that cellular death occurs faster than any known medical intervention can prevent. Why do you ask? Mara shrugged. She reached into her mouth, and I swear on my ancestors' mold, she pulled out a chunk of red and white spotted fungus from between her teeth. She held it up to the light, examining it like it was a piece of particularly interesting lint. Define toxic, she said. The lecture hall went silent. Not the normal kind of silent. The kind of silent that happens right before a star goes supernova. The kind of silent that makes your survival instinct start screaming. Velkrin's eye stalks extended fully, which I'd never seen before. Is that a crimson death cap? Probably. Mara said, poking at it with her finger. Found a whole cluster growing behind the dormitory. Figured I'd try one. Tastes kind of nutty, actually. Earthy. Could use some garlic butter, maybe a little salt. You ate it? Velkrin's voice cracked across 3 octaves. Well, yeah. I got hungry after combat training, and the cafeteria was closed, so. She popped the piece back into her mouth and kept chewing. Not gonna lie, the texture's a bit weird. Kind of rubbery. But the flavor's decent. My desk mate, a Thraxian named Kix, grabbed my arm with all 4 of his claws. She's dead. She's literally dead. Why is she still talking? I don't know. I hissed back. Velkrin had gone a concerning shade of purple. Miss Quinn, you need to report to medical immediately. You have maybe 4 hours left before your kidneys start liquefying. My kidneys feel fine, Mara said, frowning. Little gassy, but that might be the protein shake I had earlier. This is not a joke. I'm not joking, Mara said, looking genuinely confused. I ate like 6 of them yesterday too. Felt totally normal. Are you sure these are the deadly ones? Because maybe you've got your mushrooms mixed up. Velkrin pulled up his data pad with shaking appendages. Crimson death cap, red cap with white spots. Grows in clusters. Kepler 442b. Kills within 6 hours. He looked up. That is what you consumed, correct? Yeah, sounds right. And you ate 6 of them yesterday? Give or take. Wasn't really counting. That was 28 hours ago. Math checks out. Velkrin made a sound like air escaping from a punctured hull. He tapped his communicator. This is Professor Velkrin. I need a medical team to lecture Hall 7 immediately. Possible toxin exposure. Human student. He paused. Yes, I said human. Yes, I'm aware. Just send the team. Mara raised her hand again. Is this gonna take long? I've got quantum mechanics in 20 minutes. You should be dead. Velkrin shouted, and I'd never heard him shout before. He was always so calm, so collected, so academically superior. Now he looked like he was about to shed his exoskeleton from pure stress. But I'm not, Mara pointed out helpfully. The medical team arrived in under 3 minutes, which had to be some kind of record. They were led by Dr. Xantha, a crystal lid who'd seen literally everything in her 200 years of practice. She took one look at Mara, then at the mushroom chunk Mara was still holding, then back at Mara. How many? She asked quietly. Today? Just 1. And yesterday? 6, maybe 7. Dr. Xantha pulled out her scanner and ran it over Mara's torso. The device beeped, whirred, and displayed a readout that made the doctor's geometric face plates shift into an expression I couldn't quite read. Her toxin levels are elevated, Dr. Xantha announced, but within acceptable parameters for continued survival. How? Velkrin demanded. To be continued. Dr. Xantha tapped her scanner, like maybe percussive maintenance would make the readings make sense. It didn't. Her liver enzymes are processing the compounds. Slowly, inefficiently, but processing them nonetheless. She's metabolizing pure death like it's bad sushi? Mara offered. I was going to say recreational pharmaceuticals, but sure. Bad sushi works. Velkrin slumped into his chair, which groaned under his weight. This is impossible. The Crimson Death cap contains 17 different alkaloid toxins. The lethal dose for most species is 0.03 grams. She consumed approximately, 200 grams. Sounds about right, Mara agreed cheerfully. That should have killed you 6,000 times over. Yeah, but it didn't, so can I go? I really can't miss quantum mechanics again. Professor Hallex already thinks I'm ditching. Absolutely not. Dr. Xantha snapped. You're coming to medical for a full workup. I need to understand how your biology is doing this before you decide to snack on something actually dangerous. Mara blinked. More dangerous than the death mushroom? There are things in this galaxy that make the Crimson Death cap look like a vitamin supplement, Miss Quinn. Huh. Good to know. They escorted Mara out, leaving the rest of us sitting in stunned silence. Kicks finally released my arm, leaving little claw dents in my exoskeleton. What? Just happened? I think, I said slowly, we just watched a human survive something that should have been impossible. Again, someone behind me muttered. They do this constantly. Remember when that human engineer touched a live plasma conduit? Or when Marcus ate that Venusian slime mold on a dare? Or when the human security officer got bitten by a crag viper and just walked it off? The stories started flowing then. Everyone had one. Humans who survived radiation exposure that should have turned them into soup. Humans who walked through toxic atmospheres with nothing but a cheap respirator. Humans who got impaled, shot, frozen, burned, and somehow just kept going like discount action figures that refused to break. Velkrin cleared his throat, trying to regain control of his classroom. Well. That was unprecedented. Let's move on to the next specimen, shall we? The ghost vine of Andromeda, 7. Also extremely lethal. Please, for the love of the founders, do not eat it. But I couldn't focus. None of us could. Because we just witnessed something that fundamentally challenged everything we thought we knew about biology, toxicology, and the basic rules of staying alive. 3 days later, Dr. Xantha published her findings. Mara's digestive system had essentially brute-forced its way through the toxins, breaking them down through sheer stubborn chemical persistence. Her liver was working overtime, sure, but it was working. The report concluded with a note that said, and I quote, "Human biochemistry continues to defy conventional understanding. Recommend adding warning labels to deadly substances that specify they are also deadly to humans, as this apparently cannot be assumed." The administration took her advice. Now, next to every toxic specimen in the xenobiology lab, there's a little placard that says, "Lethal to all known species." Yes, including humans. Looking at you, Mara. Did it stop her? Of course not. 2 weeks later, she was in the medical bay again after deciding that the spines on a thornback crawler looked crunchy and might taste good fried. They did not taste good, apparently, but she survived getting stabbed by 47 neurotoxin-coated spines, so that was fun that I ran into her in the cafeteria last week. She was eating something that looked suspiciously like a regulation safety glove. "Is that food?" I asked. She looked down at her tray. "Technically, it's this earth thing called calamari. Fried squid. Want some? Your people eat other sentient species. Squid aren't sentient. Well, earth squid aren't. Pretty sure the cephalax would have opinions about this, so maybe don't mention it." I sat down across from her, morbidly fascinated. "Mara, honest question. Are all humans like you? Because if so, I need to completely revise my threat assessment protocols." She laughed, spraying crumbs everywhere. "Nah, I'm pretty average, actually. My roommate back home ate ghost peppers for breakfast. Now that girl was hardcore." "What's a ghost pepper?" "Fruit that evolved to be so spicy it stops animals from eating it. Humans turned it into a condiment." "Why?" "Makes food more interesting, I guess." She shrugged. "Look, we're from a planet that's been trying to kill us since day one. Earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanoes, predators with teeth the size of your arm. We got good at surviving stuff. It's kind of our thing. Your thing is concerningly effective." "Thanks." She grinned. "Hey, you want to come mushroom hunting with me this weekend? Found a new species growing near the spaceport. Bright blue caps, smells like almonds. Almonds are a human poison indicator." "Are they?" She looked thoughtful. "Huh. Anyway, you in?" I should have said no. I absolutely should have said no. But humans have this other thing they do, this weird charisma that makes you want to follow them into danger just to see what happens next. "Fine," I sighed. "But I'm bringing a full medical kit." "Smart," Mara said, and took another bite of her fried squid, and that's how I learned that the most toxic thing in the galaxy isn't a mushroom or a plant or a chemical compound, it's human curiosity, and the disturbing fact that their bodies can back up the stupid things their brains decide to try.